What's going on, party people? How we doing? Working on this 1984 Harley Davidson Ironhead Sportster. This thing is super duper sweet. A friend of mine bought it, it ran, but there was an issue with the charging system. So let me kind of show you guys what we got going on. So this is what's called your stator. Rotor rotates around this, creating a magnet field, discharging AC voltage through what should be wires. Now, that's obviously not going to work. It may have been possible to repair this, but because it was so tight up under the motor and so close to the plug, we decided to go ahead and replace it. I've actually already got the stator in there. On these Ironheads, halfway through 84, they switched over to an alternator system. This is your oil filter now. Behind this clutch basket, not on the motor like most Sportsters, like Evo Sportsters and Big Twins, but actually behind the clutch basket is where the stator is. So I've already swapped that out. Also replaced the regulator rectifier. What this does is this takes your AC voltage from your stator, converts it to 12 volts DC, and that's what actually charges your battery. So that's kind of what we're working on. What I'm doing right now is getting this surface of the primary cover all cleaned up. Unfortunately, whoever did it last, probably 25 years ago, decided to glue this gasket down, and so I'm having to sit here with a razor blade and clean all this crap off, which makes it a pain in the ass. So I'm gonna get that cleaned up, and then we're actually gonna take a little field trip today to one of my favorite places in Riverside. It's called the Chopper Place. They have been around, they've been in the game since 1971, longer than anyone else locally that I know of. We got to pick up some parts, and then we'll get this thing back together and running. So enjoy. What it do, baby? What it do? Website is live. Go buy yourself some t-shirts or a jacket or a long sleeve or whatever your heart desires. Click the link in the description to get there. Hell yeah! You really don't need to glue primary gaskets down. Unfortunately, whoever worked on this thing before me glued the hell out of this thing. And so this is really the only thing you can use to get it off. There is some products out there like gasket remover, like a spray-on gasket remover. I've never found one that's actually been worth a shit. So unfortunately, the only way to get it off is a razor blade and some emery cloth. You want to be careful when you're cleaning this stuff that you don't gouge it. As you can see, at some point in this bike's life, somebody pried the primary cover off with a screwdriver, screwed it up there. This is actually on the engine case. They pried it over here, and it looks like they tried to pry it here, which led to some damage on the actual cover. So I will probably use a small, thin layer of silicone just to make sure that we don't have any leaks past the points where it's gouging, because this is obviously all supposed to be flat. Yeah, unfortunately there's not really a quick way to get this shit off. You just have to sit down and scrape it off. So that's what we got to do. We're all cleaned up. Gasket surface is nice and clean. Definitely exposed some damage to it, but it'll be okay. It's a, 30-something odd year old Ironhead. I'm not too worried about it. Next thing I'm gonna do, like I said, I already replaced the stator behind the clutch basket. Cycle Electric requires that you use one of their regulators to keep the warranty on their stator. So next thing I'm gonna do is remove the factory regulator. As far as I know, it's working correctly, but it's one of those things that because Cycle Electric wants you to use their regulator for the warranty, it's worth it just to replace the whole thing when you're doing the stator. The last thing you'd want to do is fry something because you used old parts with new. Some people will disagree with me on that. I don't really give a shit because this is how I do it, and it just eliminates all issues. You don't want to replace the stator and then have the regulator go out and have the customer come back and be like, why isn't my bike charging? I'm like, well, let's just replace the whole thing and be done with it. So that's what we're gonna do next. I'm just putting this on just to get it up out of the way. Obviously, I've still got other shit to put back in there. So this is your rectifier slash regulator. Basically, you got two wires that come in. They're actually down here. This is gonna plug into our new stator plug. These wires run along the frame, up to the regulator, comes out of the regulator in one wire, and feeds back somewhere on this bike to the battery. So we're gonna get that removed now. So this is our new regulator made by Cycle Electric. I pretty much only use Cycle Electric's parts because they're actually, as far as I know, they're the only company that manufactures in the United States. Everyone else is imported. Nothing against imported parts, but fact of the matter is, made in America seems to last a little bit longer. So that's what I like to use. They're a little bit more expensive for sure, but when it comes to your charging system, it's not really something you want to cheap out on. The last thing you want to do is be stuck in the middle of bumfuck nowhere with a bike that won't charge itself. So that's why we use Cycle Electric. I use them exclusively. I don't really use anybody else's parts. If a customer wants to use someone else's parts, I mean, not in like a dickheadish way, but I'll pretty much tell them to go somewhere else because, yeah, it's not worth it for me to have to worry about parts failing down the line and then having to warranty all the labor to change it. So, like I said before, this is going to be where the plug for the stator goes in, and this is what comes out to your battery. So we're going to get that swapped. I'm going to get the old one off first, and then we'll put this guy on. Like that. I noticed on a lot of my videos I drop a lot of shit, so I'm trying to drop less shit instead of being a butterfinger all the time. I don't know how good that's gonna go, but oh, no. Drop some. Oops. Alright, well, that's loose. Now we gotta get our zip ties cut. Here. This bike's pretty clean, but most of the time this is down on the bottom of the frame is probably going to be the dirtiest part of the bike. This one's not too bad. It's actually pretty cherry. It's tight. That's going to be fun. Reason it doesn't matter. Oh no! Good regulator. I mean, in a pinch you could reuse this thing if you wanted to, but I don't. Okay, and I'm actually gonna go ahead, just remember I need to detach the battery. I'm not exactly sure where, if they hooked the output from the regulator straight to the battery, if they hooked it into the power panel. We shall see. Oh, well, there ain't shit there. Cool. Batería. Pull this out and not fucking shock ourselves here. Okay. So, let me grab a 10mm. I'm actually going to pull the battery all the way out. Just because there's no reason for it to be here in a way. I've never seen an Ironhead this fucking clean. Like stock, you know. Obviously, there's ones that are built that are super badass, but never seen one that's just in stock condition like this cherry. Starts up, runs perfect, blinkers work, everything. No, nothing. And it's crazy that they picked it up for as cheap as they did. the previous owner gave them like all the stock parts, like because it's got a aftermarket carburetor, it's got a Super E, gave them the stock one. Like, it's crazy. Oh, I know how to piss everyone off. Want to see something that'll piss everyone off? Set the battery on the ground. There's an old, I don't know where it's from. I'm sure it was a problem with older batteries, but everyone says, oh, you're not supposed to put the battery on the ground. Now we need to figure out where this wire goes. Make sure I cut the right wire. Boom, baby. All right, now that that's out, I can figure out where this guy goes. This goes under the seat somewhere. This up real quick. That's not tight. Typical Harley, everything's loose. All right, what do we have here? And I think I found it. Cool. That's gonna be fun to put it back through. So that's the old wire, and it's hooked up to one of the incoming powers for the breakers, which is tapped straight to the battery. So it'll work. It'll work. There I go, dropping shit. There I go, dropping shit. Okay, so that's the original wire. All right, so now get this bolted up. We'll run all this wiring. This is gonna be fun. So yeah, we just had to fight a little bit to get the stator wires, the incoming stator wires for the regulator ran through. The plug is a little bit fatter than the factory plug, which is good. It's a better quality, but makes it a little bit harder to run. So now we just gotta hopefully be able to pass this 12-volt wire up through to where it hooks up onto the breakers. And the Eagle has landed. Put this guy back on. Cool. Don't need to crank the piss out of those. Be okay with just being hand tight. So, all the wires are ran for the new regulator. I'm gonna hook up some zip ties, and then we're gonna take our trip over to the chopper place and get the last pieces we need to finish up this deal. So we just pulled up to the chopper place here in Riverside. These guys have been in business for forever. The amount of knowledge that Grant and the guys here have is just, it's amazing. So this is one of the few places that you can pretty much get any part you need. They carry this, they have the largest parts house on probably this side of the country for older Harleys, anything that the dealerships don't carry anymore. And so they're great. When you need something like that day, this is the place that you need to go. So. What's up, gentlemen? Hello. How y'all doing? Need that Ironhead primary gasket. That should be a brass twisting and then a seal. I thought there was something. We got what we needed from the chopper place. This is actually a way better gasket too. It's a metal coated in rubber, so we don't have to worry about the paper bonding to the case. And these are actually reusable a couple times. Obviously you want to inspect them before you put them back on. And then we got some seals that were missing, and so we'll be able to go and get that primary all buttoned up and get that bike on the road. So back to the shop we go. All right, so we're back from the chopper place. We've got our new gasket. We actually ended up getting a new shifter seal as well. And there's a little oil level. As you can see, this seal is pretty hammered and it's been leaking a little bit. So we're gonna change that and get this thing back together. Get this surface cleaned up as best we can here. Got our brand new seal. Pop in there real quick. Sure, there's a proper tool for this. Good size socket and a nice rubber mallet. Try to knock her in there straight, you're good to go. All right, so before we put this on, probably a good idea to put our crank pulley nut on there. I'm gonna double check the torque setting. So this is actually a factory Harley manual for this thing. A lot of good information in there. So let's see if we can't find a torque spec. Clutch hub north. Okay. Main shaft nut 30. That's crazy. 35 to 65 pounds. So they give you 30 foot-pounds of tolerance on this thing. So yeah, that's crazy. I did not that's wild as shit. Why the fuck would they give you, oh, wait a second here, let's go to 3. Clutch install sprocket locking link. Okay, 150 to 165 foot-pounds. That makes more sense. So, it says 150 to 165. I'm going to shoot for the center with our snap-on. We are going to give her the beans at 160. Okay. Red Loctite, because you do not want this thing coming out. You know, it's interesting, didn't actually have Loctite on it when I took it apart, which is kind of strange, but whatever. Now, they make a special tool to lock the primary chain when you're doing this, but I like to use a wadded up rag because I have plenty of them laying around, and I have bought the plastic locking mechanism numerous times, and I've lost it numerous times, and I'm tired of losing them, so I'm just gonna use a rag. That locks our chain. There we go. That's 160. That thing is not going nowhere. Bada boom, bada bing. Unwrap it and use it. So we've got a couple spots on here. The first thing we want to do, make sure this fits. Looks like it fits pretty good. I don't see anything weird. So there's a couple spots on the engine case and on the primary that are gouged. It'll probably be okay, but like if you can see right here, it's a little mark where somebody decided to dig at it with a screwdriver. There's one right here, and there's another one right here. So what we're gonna do, and I know I said earlier in this video you don't glue gaskets on, and technically we're not. We're gonna use a little bit of this here stuff. I actually like this stuff a lot. It's called the Right Stuff. It lays up really quick and works pretty damn good. So we're just gonna give it a light little dab to fill up some of these gaps, just to be safe. I don't want it leaking down the road. Anytime you have a situation where there's like an uneven part, I mean realistically, it's not really a good fix for what we got going on here, because it's part of the engine case. So yeah, not really much we can do without obviously major machine work. Okay, got a little bit right here. Like I said, you don't usually need silicone with a gasket, but situations like these, better safe than sorry. A little bit right there. Patch up that hole. All right. The primary chain tensioner is actually built into the primary cover. It's not on the case like on a big twin, so it makes it a little bit of a bitch to get the primary cover on, but we will make her work. Okay. Pain in my ass. There we go. Okay, so our tensioner is in place. Now when we go to put this on, we're gonna have to get this spring up inside the primary cover, which is the not so fun part of this whole deal. Now, you may think, oh, it's spring loaded, like it's good to go. Well, no. This actually holds the tensioner down. It doesn't hold it up. There is an adjustment screw here on the primary. I suggest when you're putting your primary cover back on, you remove that screw completely, because otherwise you're going to be fighting with the screw to try to get it onto the chain adjuster. So before we throw this on, I'll give you my top secret awesome cleaning method. Just blasting all this shit out with some brake cleaner. Make sure you do this in a well vent. I probably should have fucking waited for the silicone. Idiot. Off real quick. Just gonna try to clean all the debris we can out of this thing. Make sure you soak your pants in it too. And then wipe it out. It's always going to have a little bit of crud in it, and that's mainly because as your clutch wears in, you're gonna have clutch plate material all up inside this thing and getting the oil dirty. So just try to get the big chunks out. You don't, especially on Sportsters, because they share primary and transmission oil, you just don't want the big chunks running through your transmission. And now we can go back, put silicone on where we need it. The other thing the silicone does is helps hold the gasket on the engine when you're trying to get everything in place. Make sure all your holes are kind of lined up. All right. Okay, so now get this fun job. Good job. There we go. Make sure our gasket didn't drop. All our holes are still lined up. There we go. Just like that, baby. I had the bolts organized. As you can see, somebody decided that Teflon tape was a good seal for that oil level bolt. We will not be using Teflon tape. More Teflon tape to clean out.
Another one.
More Teflon tape.
Another one.
This thing must have been leaking.
Sometimes foreshadowing is relatively obvious.
At some point in its life. You don't need this shit. Sure, Harley has some sequence, but realistically, you want to start from the center and work yourself out, and that allows the primary cover, even though this is a solid piece of metal, it still flexes and still moves under tension. So you want to make sure that you start from center-ish and work your way out, and that'll spread the load on that gasket. If you start from the ends, it may bunch up the center and cause leaks. Seen it happen before. Take this guy out, clean it. Make sure you try and get all the excess and old thread locker out, because over time will actually cause some damage to the holes. You don't need a lot of Loctite, just a little bit. Pop that guy in there. We'll run it down. Not tight, actually. I'll take. We're going to set our torque wrench to 20 foot-pounds. That is the specification for a 1/4 20 bolt. Make sure it's actually tightening it. Boom. Same thing for the next one. And on and on and on. Alrighty, so Kate, the primary cover is completely bolted back in. What we're gonna do now is slap in our drain bolt, if I can find it, right here. We've got a brand new or a new O-ring for that. Then we will, oh, I gotta put the adjustment nut in too. We'll set our chain adjustment, our primary chain adjustment. Specification for these is about 1/2 inch. And we'll fill her with oil. Get the battery back in. Should be good to go. God, dude, this guy put fucking silicone on everything. Fucking Teflon tape too, like, come on, dude. I'm eyeballing it, but primary tension is set to about 1/2 inch. This is where you're gonna be checking it. I could get a ruler out and measure it, but I got about a 1/2 inch slop in there. Next thing we're gonna do, fill up our chain case. This is actually your sight hole. So if the oil starts coming out of there, you know you are good to go. And there we go. Now we know we are where we need to be. Oh, come on now. This. Oh, right on my fucking arm. God damn it. Now you don't want to over tighten this screw either. It's just a little 1/4 bolt.
It was at this moment that he knew.
What the fuck? I hope that bolt isn't stripped. Yeah, it's fucked. Cool. That's probably why you had it packed full of Teflon tape. Fuck. God fucking damn it. That really sucks. Yep. This thing's fucked now. Yep, that's probably why this thing was packed full of silicone and Teflon tape. Because it was stripped and it was leaking. So, I think we're fucked for now. Well, we thought we were gonna be done with this thing today. But we probably will be. It's just gonna take me a lot longer than I thought it was going to. This little oil level hole is completely stripped out. So I'm gonna have to go and get or see if I have one, get a helicoil, or drill and tap the hole to a bigger size, get a different size bolt and a different size washer. But unfortunately, with these old bikes, sometimes that's what you run into. Sometimes you gotta fix other people's mistakes that they rigged up. So we will get it done. We will get it fixed, always do. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe. Yeah, I'm definitely not gonna finish a video like that. We're gonna fix this thing, and here's how we're doing it. Figured out that the drain hole on the primary is stripped as well. That's probably why it was packed full of Teflon. So we gotta fix that. I'm not gonna rig it back up. That's not the type of work that I do. So my plan is I gotta drain the oil back out of the primary. I really don't wanna take the primary cover back off, but it's the way she goes sometimes. Anyways, gotta keep it moving. Big deal is make sure you get yourself a nice clean drain pan so you don't waste all that primary oil. You're gonna have to drain the old primary out. Yeah, that's the hole I was talking about. So it's supposed to be a 1/4 bolt, and when I was tightening this thing in, I noticed the hole is just hammered, and there was actually quite a bit of Teflon tape packed around it. So makes sense. I think the plan here is we're gonna take this here tap. This is an 1/8 inch pipe plug tap. We are gonna drill this hole out. There's enough meat there. And we're gonna go get ourselves a pipe plug. I think personally that pipe plugs are a little bit better. So that's what we're gonna do. And we're back. Got the hole tapped out, got the pipe plug fitted, ended up doing the same for the drain as well. So both are fitted and sealed and ready to go. Crisis averted. So we're gonna get oil back in there and get the battery back in and see if we can get her to fire up. So I may have got a little bit carried away, dropped the ball a little bit filming with the last bit of the process. But yeah. Bike's back together. Clutch is adjusted. Just for checking's sake, let's get our meter turned on here. Get the bike fired up. Alright, that's an idle. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see this thing go above 14. And 12 and a half is okay at idle. Not surprised. It's not a super high amperage output charging system. A little bit of revs and she jumps right up to 14. So this thing is dialed. I'm gonna get the seat back on. I actually got to throw some mirrors on. So this bike was originally titled in Nevada. So we've got to make sure that she passes the California state inspection to get a California license plate. So yeah, she's all done and good to go. A little bit of, you know, went sideways there for a second, but I was able to get it all finished up and dialed. That makes me happy. Anyways, please subscribe if you are not already subscribed. Thank you guys so much for subscribing. It's awesome. If you could, if you wish, go to www.yetimachineko.com and buy some merch. I got some shirts, some hoodies, some sweaters, that kind of stuff. I'm gonna have more up there when I start making parts. I'm gonna put them there. Also, there is a little bit of a delay between what I'm actually doing at the time and what's being posted on YouTube, because these videos take a little bit of time to edit. If you want more updates, follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Yeti Machine Co. All Yeti Machine Co. So thanks, guys.